Hi guys. Back in 2016, I produced a short demo EP with a local band named Theory of Us. I thought I'd share some of the tracks with you to show you how my production and engineering chops translate to other artists. Keep in mind, pretty much all of these tracks are not complete. Some of them don't even have drums because the guys weren't able to afford a drummer at the time, so we finished them as close to final as we can get them. But you're hearing unmastered things. But go ahead and take a listen. The first song is called Who I Am. I'll discuss the recording and production techniques after the track, so if you feel inclined, please go ahead and skip to the end. Thanks.
Take the steps to make it from the place where you first feared your dreams and fade to black. Walls come down, headstrong focus finds determination in the place where all the air is filled with sound. I can't be someone else until I discover who I am, where to go, what's in store. That's why I know there's more, so much more that I can be, and that's when I'm free. Chance until you feel that every deal is made and sealed from those who said you couldn't and you can't. Not this time. There's no way that I can alter where I'm going, exposed to those who think that I should change my mind. I can't be another someone else until I discover who I am, where to go, what's in store. Not sure why I know there's more, so much more that I can be, and that's when I'm free. Take the steps to make it from the place where you first feared your dreams would fade to black. I can't be another someone else until I discover who I am, where to go, what's in store. Not sure why I know there's more, so much more that I can be, and that's when I'm free. Who I am, where to go, what's in store. That's why I know there's more, so much more that I can be, and that's when I'm free, really free.
Okay, let's discuss some of the production behind the track. In the very beginning, there's a really cool feedback thing that we did. I had John the primary songwriter and guitarist, go into the room with the amplifier, which in this case was a KSR Artemis, and do different feedback notes based around intervals largely off of E, because it's an E major chord that starts the song. I had to sift through about 5 minutes worth of feedback and construct a part that would tell a little story, and also I was looking for the different rhythmic cues in the feedback as it transitions from one harmonic overtone to the next. I then did a bunch of different panning to have it jump from side to side and lead into the track, and I ran that all through Logic Sound Designer for the Space Designer for the reverb, because it sounded really great, and it was a lot easier to do it that way since the tracks were jumping around in the stereo field. Take a listen. Okay, so the next part is there's the really cool synthesizer type thing that comes in next. So it's a funny story with this. Originally it was just a synthesizer, kind of a string sounding Van Halen jump sort of string sound that was doing the arpeggiated part. The next week we came in, the guys, they had been totally happy with that, and they came in the next week and said, we don't think there needs to be keyboard in it because we don't have a keyboard player in the band. And I said, okay, so how are we going to do that? And they were like, well, I don't know, we'll just do it. So I decided we needed to still get it to sound synthesizer-like. So what you're hearing is a combination of John holding an ebow on one of the guitar strings, and he's playing two of the notes here, and then Zane, the singer, is moving the low note of the arpeggio down. It was important to get all of it on one string, because if you think about it, when you transition to different guitar strings, the timbre is different. So if we wanted to fake it to sound more like a synthesizer, it was good to get it all on one guitar string. Now that's not the only thing that produces the sound. If you notice, the sound has a really weird envelope to the attack of the notes. So it was part of the ebow, as John would hammer the notes, having kind of a weak onset of the note as it would trigger. The other part is we were running this through a full-tone Clyde Deluxe wah pedal on the lowest resonance setting, where it has a lower tone to the wah, and we had that parked all the way back. And then I think I was also running that into a phase 90 at a really low setting. So you have this weird kind of confluence of resonances that make the note really organic and random with the way the attack is. So let's check out that. I should also note that we ended up keeping the original synthesizer part underneath the guitar kind of, fake synthesizer thing, and I washed that out with a bunch of reverb, probably from a Strymon Big Sky. I generally use outboard effects on a lot of guitar things. I think they sound better and more interesting. So let's check out the next part. So under the vocal, if you listen carefully, you hear a really cool part that almost sounds tremolo-like. What it actually is, it's a full-tone Deja vibe that we had set on a faster setting, and that's going into the front of the amp. Now, the really interesting part is we're also running a spring reverb simulation. So a lot of people run the spring reverb into the front of an amp because it's a digital simulation. I'm actually running it in the effects loop. So I've tested this out, and it makes logical sense if you think about it. In amps, if you have actual amp tremolo and reverb, generally those were in the power, right before the power section of the amp. Or in the case of tremolos, it would actually be like a tube bias tremolo. So the bias is affecting how the power section operates to create the tremolo. So I find you get the most realistic sound that sounds like an old Fender amp with a tremolo or reverb circuit if you put that in the effects loop. So that was a reverb setting I dialed in on the Strymon Big Sky. So let's take a listen to that.
Steps to make it from the place where you first first feared your dreams would fade to black. Walls come down, headstrong focus finds determination in it.
Cool. So the next thing we should talk about are the acoustics in the track. So all the acoustics were, I believe, all Zane's Yamaha guitar. That guitar was a pretty stiff guitar. It was pretty hard sounding. Now, we auditioned a bunch of different picks, actually, to get the best tone. We ended up on a medium Fender celluloid. So the funny thing is, I'm always going for a as perfect as possible, but natural sounding, like a real sound. So I don't like hearing the equipment in the production. So I don't like hearing things that are overly compressed to the fact that to the point that you can hear the compressors and the mics, and you feel that you hear the equipment more than the performance. So we were going for a real natural point of the player's sort of sound of the acoustic. So the funny thing is, if you mic over the shoulder when you're playing acoustic, it will sound a lot like what your ears hear, but that's a really difficult place to have a mic for actual performance of playing the instrument. It's easy to breathe on the mic, and feels terrible to play that way. So you can get a very similar sound if you take we actually used a Shure KSM 44 in cardioid mode, pointed down at the floor about Adam's apple high over the acoustic guitar here, and that will capture a similar tone. And that's what we did on the acoustic. So sometimes that doesn't work, but that guitar sounded really hard and stiff sounding, and that helped to kind of wash it out a little bit and make it sound more natural. It didn't require a bunch of EQing or compression, really. It worked in the track. So when you're hearing the acoustic, you're hearing that. Let's hear a little bit of that as it goes into the chorus.
Place where all the air is filled with sound. I can't be another someone else until I discover who I am, where to go, what's in store. That's why I know there's more, so much more that I can be, and that's when I'm free.
Cool. You also notice there's EBO track there in all of the choruses. The other thing to keep in mind, and this is an interesting thing with working with different artists, when I'm doing my tracks that you guys hear, every bit of the distortion or overdrive or whatever is coming from the different channels of my KSR amp, because I'm used to playing, actual tube overdrive, and I like that sound. The guys at the time were playing a lot of like amp simulator softwares and computers and Line 6 spider amps and maybe overdrive, solid state overdrive pedals into clean channels of amplifiers. So they didn't seem very comfortable with the play response of playing into like the crunch channel of my KSR amp. So pretty much all the rhythm tracks on the whole record that we did were a Shelly Ponyboy pedal doing the overdrive tone into the clean channel of the KSR. The only things we sometimes did were the lead channels, the lead parts were done with the actual lead channel of the KSR, because we really needed that fat tone. So here's a little bit of that.
I can be, and that's when I'm free.
Okay, and then here's the final playout, which is the faux guitar synthesizer thing layered in the actual synth strings, and you can hear it as it kind of peters out at the end. You'll actually hear the strings more, so check it out.
Can be, and that's when I'm free. Who I am, where to go, what's in store. That's who I know there's more, so much more that I can be. And that's when I'm free, really free. That's when I'm
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.